Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
When are we going to learn whether we will host the 28 draft or 27? Which one are we bidding for to be the host?
I thought it was 28.
Is it 28?
But I don't know for sure.
When are we going to find out?
I don't know.
Will we find out around the upcoming draft?
That would make sense.
I can't wait. I can't wait to do shows from the draft.
How many should we do?
There 5 the whole week.
So Thursday, Friday.
No, Thursday, Friday, Monday through Friday.
Will anybody be there?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We got to be ready.
It's that big. It's that big. And we're going to shut the schools down for the whole week. That's already been part of the pitch.
That's part of Pittsburgh's deal, right?
Pittsburgh's shutting it down, I think, for 3 days. Kessler was among those who defended it. Big traffic jams, poor kids. It's unbelievable. Is Kessler on tomorrow, as far as we know, or is he out of town?
I haven't been told otherwise.
Okay.
Usually he lets us know.
Fair enough.
I've missed Kessler like 3 of the last 4 weeks.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You've been out a lot.
Yeah.
And now you're back, I think.
I'm back, basically, until Labor Day.
What do we have on the top 5?
I got to start with the Google Me thing because it's too good.
It is good.
Because Twins won, Wolves play tonight, Wild play tonight, Michigan won the national championship. We've gotten to some of it. We'll get to the rest of it as well. But it has to do with the Milwaukee Bucks, who are not doing very well. Things aren't going well. Giannis is apparently healthy enough to play, but the Bucks don't want him to play. There's a big controversy about that. So what happens when there's unrest? What usually happens, Dan, when there's blood in the water? The shark circle, right? And Shams Charania is the shark that has circled a lengthy piece, ESPN.com, talking about the trade deadline stuff, talking about the dysfunction in the team. But I got to get to, I think, the best part. And now I scrolled back up. I got to find it.
Lengthy story?
Lengthy story. The Bucks had turned a double-digit lead into a blowout road loss in Chicago March 1st. Doc Rivers called for a team meeting. If the Bucks were to rally into a play-in spot, this week was the most critical. The Bucks next faced a shorthanded Celtics team in Milwaukee on a back-to-back, set for March 2nd before a pivotal contest against the Hawks. Rivers, who won an NBA title as coach of the Celtics and will be enshrined in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame later this year, started the meeting by imploring his players to look up his resume. 6 people in the room told ESPN. Here's the quote. I took teams to the playoffs and to the championship that weren't supposed to. I thought this was one of them. Either you're with us or against us. If you're not playing hard, we're not playing you anymore. I know everything that goes on in this building. Doc with the Google Me.
So he stole Cignetti's material.
Yep.
It appears. Here's the question. Is Doc Rivers in that much of a position of strength right now? He's been a good coach. He's had some moments. He's also had some bad playoff moments where he's underachieved.
That's the deal with him, I think.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the schism seems to be in part because Giannis has said, I'm ready to play. And they don't want him to play, correct?
Correct.
That's the comeback. Another bad look for the National Basketball Association. Just part of an ongoing, I would say, crisis. I think it is a crisis for this league right now in which no one seems to have a particularly good answer.
53 minutes from now, your Minnesota Timberwolves back in action.
On the Fan?
On the Timberwolves channel of the iHeartRadio app.
Okay.
6 o'clock tip in Indy. Where else? They're trying to snap a 3-game losing streak, and will have to do so without Anthony Edwards, who we mentioned yesterday is already ruled out with his right knee injury maintenance. So we will see if he plays at all on this road trip, which continues in Orlando tomorrow night. That game will be heard right here on the Fan.
And then it's Houston, right before we come back home to the last one.
Gunbelt tight. Yeah. So you take a look at the standings as they sit right now. Their magic number is still 2. Any combination of Timberwolves wins and Phoenix Suns losses will lock up the 6th seed for the Wolves. It could happen tonight. The Suns play Houston in Phoenix. But they're 3 games ahead of the Suns. They're 3 games behind the Houston Rockets. So it seems unlikely with 4 games to play.
Yeah.
They will catch Houston. And it seems likelier that it will be a rematch in the postseason with the Denver Nuggets.
The bigger question is whether the Suns will catch us. What if we're in free fall?
Could be.
Let's face it, there's 2 games you're supposed to win, even if you're injury ravaged, if you're the Wolves.
This one and the last one.
One is tonight. If you lose this one tonight, all bets are off when it comes to Orlando and Houston, right?
Yep.
And meantime, on the other hand, as you mentioned earlier in the show, if the Wolves take care of business tonight and Phoenix loses at home to Houston, it's over. I mean, at least over that we cannot fall all the way into the play-in, which would be, I think, the definition of disaster for this team. It would make this regular season a failed regular season. Now, the beauty of it is you still have the postseason to redeem yourself, but that's a long road if you're really going to try to go down that road. Now, maybe that's the sense of the dramatic that this team has and that they would welcome it and they'd say, okay, you doubt us? Go ahead and do your little poems. Do your little Lakers in 5 things, and we'll take care of business, and we'll show you how good we are about putting it together. But there's a lot of putting it together that has not been manifested on the court anytime recently, not to mention the injuries that might make it even harder to manifest what we're looking for on the court, even if you think the pieces are still there to make such a run.
Well, how about this? How about they lose the 6th spot? Mm-hmm. They end up in the 7th spot. They win the first 7-8 play-in game, which would be at home. And they take on the 2 seed San Antonio Spurs Davy, who now have an injured Victor Wembanyama.
What?
Did you see what happened with him last night? Last night. He left last night's game against Philly with a rib contusion. He ran into Paul George.
Contusion should be. In hockey, they wouldn't even list that.
No, and that's... So I brought that up because 12 minutes ago, so he ran into Paul George at midcourt, tried to play, ended up leaving the game, couldn't really extend at all, and his arms are 12 feet.
Is he that brittle?
Well, he's not very beefy. But Shams tweeted a minute ago, about 15 minutes ago, that he's doubtful to play in tomorrow night's game against Portland due to a rib contusion, but there's confidence he will play at least one of the team's final 3 regular season games. So if he's maybe going to play one of the regular season games, he'd probably be okay for the playoffs.
Sounds like you're sensationalizing this a little bit.
Well, when Wemby goes down and leaves the game with a week left in the season, basically, that's big news. Given what's going on with the Lakers, what's going on with the Wolves, like everybody's getting hurt. It's chaos. Cade Cunningham's got a collapsed lung. Like, who's going to be healthy? Might be the Denver Nuggets.
Nuggets might be the only team,
who have won 9 in a row now. Where do they want to go next?
They had to come from behind last night and beat somebody bad again,
Portland.
didn't they? Well, Portland's, I guess, not horrible.
Yeah. Portland was making a bunch of threes.
Right.
And then Jokic took over and Jamal Murray did what he did. Aaron Gordon's back, so it's working out well for them. We'll talk Wild with Louie, so we don't need to get into that much. They play the Kraken tonight, 7 o'clock, pregame 6:45. You can hear it right here on the Fan. I'm sure Fallness is listening right now from his studio. Thank you, Kevin Fallness. We'll hear from you in about an hour and a half. The national championship game heard last night on the Fan. Michigan wins their first national title since 1989, wins the Big Ten, its first national title since 2000. The drought is over. Big Ten wins the football championship. They win the women's basketball championship. They win the men's basketball championship. They won wrestling. That was Penn State. They've got 2 hockey teams in the Frozen Four. Ohio State and Wisconsin for the women are not technically Big Ten schools because we don't have Big Ten women's hockey, but we know what they are. They're Big Ten schools. So we're taking over the world.
Well, we got like 30. Don't we have 30 teams in the conference now?
18.
Oh, 18. Okay.
18. And this, at least Michigan's a traditional one.
That's true.
We're claiming UCLA.
Yeah, that's ours.
From the Conference of Champions, Bill Walton rolling over in his grave. But the Wolverines get the job done.
Did you miss not having Bill Walton on this weekend or yesterday's show? Yeah. Usually we would get him on the Monday of the final, right? Some days Friday, some days Monday. What was it? I don't remember.
It was historically Monday, and then we started. It was Friday.
Then it ended up being Friday. Yeah, it still doesn't. I got a couple texts on that yesterday. It still doesn't seem right.
It was the first Final Four I've missed in a while. I didn't go to
that's
Indy.
right, and you didn't even go. No. Well, I think you'd have gone if it was in any other city but Indy. I think that was your own kind of
that was part of the calculus.
Protest. Yeah,
I was in San Antonio, Davie. Yeah, I was in Phoenix.
And you're tired of being. You were just in Indy for the Big Ten women's tournament.
I've been in Indy enough.
Yeah, I understand.
I've sat in the non-clear TSA pre-line enough on the way back.
I understand.
So Michigan gets the job done, and now it's transfer portal season. There's already 1,500 as of 2 hours ago, players in the men's transfer portal. And on the women's side, I think I saw the number, don't quote me totally accurate, but of the top 100 recruits in the 2025 recruiting class, so freshmen, there was like 37 or 47 players that were in the portal.
Right?
Yeah. Including 2 top 50 kids from Minnesota.
Plot thickens.
Kid from Maple Grove, kid from Minnetonka, that were both, I think, top 40 recruits already in the transfer portal.
Exhausting is what it is.
Then here's my new favorite bit, because this has been a bit for a while. But remember the one thing about Urban Meyer when he won one of the reasons he got out was he won the national championship game, and before he did his press conference, he went into some broom closet in New Orleans or wherever to call recruits. Just never stops.
Yeah.
Well, it never stopped. He couldn't turn the page. Couldn't enjoy anything.
Yeah.
But that's like last night. Somebody did a walk with Dusty May after the game. Apparently, he walks back and forth from the arena, no matter where it is. And in Indy, everything's walkable, so he could get to his hotel. And he's checking texts from recruits that have just entered the portal 90 minutes after he cut the net down. It's the never-ending cycle of college sports.
It's got to be a little bit easier, though, to accept the relentless nature of it when you just won a national championship.
That's actually when I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you're on a high, you're on a natural high, and saying, hey, you want to be a part of this? It's up to you.
It's up to you, man.
We got like 25 other options, but we're thinking of you first. So.
What's your price?
Yeah.
Because we've got other kids that'll come.
Well, here's the other question. Do the players who stay at Michigan, who help them win a title, are they all allowed to demand raises?
Some of them do.
On the basis of winning the championship?
I'm sure they do, yeah. Some of them do.
And do they all have agents?
Yes.
And is it a different sort of agent than, let's say, NBA player agents? Is it a whole different breed, or is it the same?
Yes. Some are the same.
Yeah.
Some are very, very different. It's just, and there's not really rules for that either. You can be represented by pretty much anybody. It's crazy.
All right, we got Louis coming up in about 15 minutes, correct?
Yes.
I got a couple of texts and a couple other much more savagery to get to in between. If you have questions for Louis, hit the inbox, 64686. Back in a minute.
Fan.
You'll hear from Louis, as I said, in about 10 minutes. And if you have questions or comments for him, 64686, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, as always, is wide open. Jonathan from Bloomington writes, we didn't have Walton on Friday, but Pitino wasn't a bad replacement. He is no Walton, but was a good listen. Yeah, we had a nice conversation with him on Friday. Go back and podcast
next
it.
Question. This is high level.
If indeed you might have missed it as well. There was one other text I wanted to try to get to before we address perhaps one other item as well. It's not Metro Transit related. This is from 507 guy. There is law enforcement presence on the train very often, coming from someone who rides the train daily. That would be it's encouraging, but I would say it takes time for that perception to catch up with what, in his case, might well be the reality as well. Somebody else mentioned part of this is gates requiring payment. Pay to ride, enforce it. You don't get on the train unless you have a ticket. This is what happens in all of the other trains I've been on in the U.S. and EU. I want to say, I don't know how it's set up here now, but I do want to say in parts of New York City, this has been a big trend to getting to either putting up more barriers or making it harder to get on without paying, and that a lot of the, believe it or not, so shock people, that a lot of the resulting numbers when it comes to crime issues, difficulties on trains, where they've done that, have dramatically decreased, gone down. Who knew that something that logical would make some sense? But there are people out there who don't think that we should not even be enforcing that, because what's really the crime there? And in of itself, there may not be much of one, but if it makes it more likely that individuals who do intend to be disruptive are excluded from the opportunity, from the experience, then to that extent, everybody, I got to believe, in my own view, everybody would win, given the number one, the top priority item for people who want to ride mass transit in any sort, whether you're talking about choo-choos or buses or whatever it might be, is I just want to feel like I got nothing to worry about here. 9 times out of 10. Obviously, there's things happen anywhere, but we're just talking about most of the time. I'm going to try to read this, and I'm addressing it. I want more than anything the Trump supporters to read this and see what their response to it is. It's from a righty, a conservative by the name of Orrin Cass. And let me just read what how he's reacting to what the president sent out earlier today. I mostly avoid commenting on what President Trump says from day to day while pulling no punches in my assessments, whether positive or negative, of his policy. His Iran ultimatums feel different. Making such threats is a policy. If he were to follow through on them, the consequences would be immediate, irreversible, and catastrophic on a world historical scale. So while some will inevitably insist he should be, quote, taken seriously rather than literally, or that he is executing a sophisticated madman strategy, a la Richard Nixon, in a complex game of 5D chess, or that he needs everyone's steadfast support to maximize his leverage, now rather than later seems the time to say that the actions he is proposing would be a disaster for our country, both strategically and morally, which makes the remarks themselves a terrible mistake. Simply put, what's the point of all this? If these are empty threats that we all know he will not carry out, then they are ineffective threats. The Iranians are on X too, merely making the president and our nation look foolish. If they are not empty threats, then the president is asserting the American position that such actions are acceptable in this situation and ones we are willing to take. We are not living in some quantum thought experiment where he simultaneously is and is not serious. We cannot expect the Iranians, but only the Iranians, will believe him. Whether the threats are empty or not, we should be willing to say this is wrong. We should not establish a pattern of threatening escalation from a blockaded strait to elimination of a civilization. We should not launch strikes intended to devastate the lives of millions of people and take our nation to total war without indisputable justification, or before the American people have deliberated upon and assented to the path with full understanding of what that total war might mean for them. These principles are vital to our republic, independent of whether the strategy could, quote unquote, work. But it's also worth emphasizing the strategy is a dead end. This war is actively weakening American power, increasing the danger of American citizens, and frustrating the president's important efforts at addressing our many domestic challenges. Stepping back from these threats and admitting such actions do not offer a path to resolving the conflict may be unpalatable, but is by far the least unpalatable option available. I would simply add to that we threaten everybody now. We don't just threaten our enemies, and Iran is one of our enemies. We laid that out earlier. That shouldn't be forgotten. We threaten our allies. We threaten bleeping Greenland. And you can say, again, that's the game. It's negotiating the game. It's posturing, whatever the case may be. But at what point do even people who believe in him go, well, what's the point of, what are we standing for if we're threatening everybody? If we don't get, quote unquote, what we want, including, like I said, we're all mad that we're not getting the cooperation from NATO countries that we want after spending, the same individual spending the previous 6 months to 2 years doing nothing but mocking many of the countries, including Greenland and including Greenland supporters. If you believe the notion that actions have consequences, you'd say, well, maybe they're not in the mood to listen to this rhetoric based on what they'd heard previously. If your goal is to get certain cooperation, and he plays it both ways on this too. The president will go from, we're looking for some help, to, we don't need your help, right? We don't need it. So if you don't need it, then why do you care? Why do you completely change the subject or change your approach on it? But if the goal is support from within your allies, they have one thing about the president that he always tells us, he's got a really long memory. Really long, right? What is that memory? Well, I got jobbed out of an election, among other things, but I got a long memory. But apparently, European countries aren't allowed to have long memories. They're not allowed to remember. Well, wait a minute now. Hold on. This same guy who now wants our help, just not that long ago, was mocking, ridiculing us, threatening Greenland, when most of what the United States and the president wanted, they were going to be able to get if they just simply asked for it, as opposed to this discussion about, well, we don't want to invade. I don't think we're going to invade, but I don't know. Who's to say? That's the part of this. If you're a Trump fan, I don't understand. He's allowed to have a long memory. Remember this stuff, and it affects how he moves forward with various individuals. But everybody else around him in other countries, they have to have short memories. They're supposed to immediately forget what he had previously threatened, how he had previously mocked and ridiculed them. In his world, if you mock and ridicule him, he doesn't want to do business with you, right? He holds it against you. But no one else is apparently allowed to play by the Trump rules in that regard. Pretty interesting. But I thought the comments from Orrin were pretty well, and they're not shrilly offered. And again, this is from a very conservative think tank kind of a guy. Bottom of the hour pause. Luigi, our guy Lou Nanne, a lot of hockey conversation. Do we want to catch the Stars? How important is it to catch the Stars? They're right there now. We got a shot at it if we continue to win and take care of business Thursday night in Dallas. Louis is next.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. Take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Lou Nanne?
There's only South Korea.
Louis' appearances, as always, brought to you by Kemp's. Louis joins us now via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Welcome back to the program. I have a theory I want to try on you. I don't think it's controversial, to be honest with you. But I some of the hockey folks who've texted me, I think, have fallen into this trap that because home ice advantage doesn't always mean as much as it tends to in other sports, certainly the NBA playoffs, that they're bored with worrying about it at all. My ongoing opinion and belief is that it's not all or nothing for the reasons we just laid out. A goaltender can change anything, the visiting goaltender in a series. But if I have a chance as a team that has not made out of the first round of the playoffs in 10 years to gain home ice advantage against a formidable opponent, I want it. I want to do everything in my power to get it. I don't think that's such a radical position. Do you?
No, I don't. That's perfectly, reasonable. I would say, though, that you don't have to worry too much about it because you only got two games to go till you find out whether you have it or not. And so you got to play real well tonight and then Thursday against Dallas. And if you're in position then to have it, then you go for it. If you're not, then you start.
Yes, of course.
Looking towards the playoffs, resting some people, and get your strategy together. But no, you still want to do that because you never know if home ice winning this would be playing a factor in going forward. If it might be in another series as well.
Well, here's the other thing. I do hear from hockey people say, well, last change does mean something. There's a reason people like having that. And I think that's the advantage you have when you're playing at home, correct? I mean, so.
Well, it is, Dan, but last change isn't used the same way as it used to be used because if you're really intent on doing something like that, it's easy to get your players off the ice, especially if you win the draw.
Right.
But if you don't win the draw, it depends where the face-off is. You can make changes relatively quickly anyway.
Let me quickly, before we go on, get to a bit of breaking A-section news worthy of discussion. Apparently, the president has agreed to suspend bombing of Iran for 2 weeks. So there will be what he describes as a double-sided ceasefire. Reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all our military objectives, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently there is a 10-point proposal from Iran that is, according to the president, a workable basis on which to negotiate. So the ultimatum that was in place for tonight has, as I pretty much expected and basically predicted, is being, at the very least, extended. That is worthy of at least note here as that story breaks across the United States and across the world as well. Back to the toy department and back to this Wild Club as well. To me, again, I think when it was laid out in a way where it looked like the deficit to the Stars was so great that I was more in your camp, which was just, experiment, rest people. I think the Louis plan was just get everybody back together for the last two. But now I like playing the thing out, especially if you take care of business. Well, we got the Kraken tonight, and then you got the Thursday showdown game with the Stars. I don't think it's the worst thing. In the end, as you know, it's about what you do in the postseason. But I think having this sort of new goal, I think that could sharpen the senses a little bit, can't it?
Oh, it definitely can. And remember, we were talking about how the Wild were going through a slump. Well, it was Dallas, 2-5-2, I think, in the last 9 games. So they're going through one too, and Colorado was going through one earlier. So all the teams have been essentially going through the same thing, and now what you got to do is get sharp because you want to be sharp going into the playoffs. Well, the Wild have picked it up here recently. They've won some key games on the road. They've got a great road record. I think the best in the NHL. So that's something to look forward to. But the key again is still going to be the health. You got to be healthy.
Yeah.
You want to be as healthy as you can. And when you look at the schedules, if the Wild lose Thursday, they're definitely not catching Dallas. And if they do, they still have to, wonder, like they'll be tied. But Dallas has got not that tough a schedule either. Neither do the Wild, but the Dallas team hasn't got a very tough schedule either. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next 2 games have in store. And this one tonight, the Wild definitely should win.
Yeah.
If they lose this one, then
the same thing.
They're not going to get it. But Seattle's not going to make the playoffs. They're floundering, and they're coming here on the road. So the Wild, you would expect, should be victorious tonight. The
Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open. If you have questions or observations for Louis, 64686 is the number as always. We actually had one that came in early on a completely different topic. This is from longtime hockey fan, Dry Heat Guy. Can you please ask Louis about the Twin Cities/St. Paul Vulcans USHL franchise? Best uniforms and logos of all time. I know they moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, and ironically, the guy who bought them was from Vegas and owned the Las Vegas Ice Center rink, but we need to create a new USHL Vulcans team. Let's go. What do you think?
Well, thanks to Stanley Hubbard, you had the Vulcans team here, and they try to make it viable, but there's so much hockey being played in town. To get a junior team to draw against the high school teams just wasn't viable. It just wasn't going to make it, and the jerseys might be good, but the people going to the games were very numerous, and so I don't expect that's going to happen again, and I know I wouldn't be an investor in something like that because I think the competition is really too strong when you look at all the hockey that's being played in and around the Twin Cities. And you have to remember that the parents are so involved in the youth hockey as well. There's so much time taken up with that. So you add that on top of all the opposition you got with teams playing, like the high school teams, the college teams, the pro teams, and both women's and men's. So it's really tough. You might get a jersey, a bulk of jerseys. I think just go and buy one of the old ones and have that as a gift, or something to enjoy. But don't look forward to having a Vulcan team here. I don't think you're going to get it.
Unlikely, for sure. as we go forward, as we said, we're finally getting close to the postseason. Besides the obvious names, from the Lou Nanne perspective, give me a couple of wild players that you say they have to be part of the solution. They have to be strong. They have to be effective in the postseason if the Wild want to not only get out of the first round, but maybe even make a run. Who comes to mind to you?
Well, first of all, the defense, and I think you got to look to Spurgeon and Brodin.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to be good because the defense is going to get challenged, and you know that you're expecting a lot already from Hughes and Faber, but your third and fourth have got to be as good as they can be because they are a key. They probably will be catching the top lines from Dallas a lot, so they're the first guys. The second guys. Hartman's got to continue to do what he's doing and do what he did last year in the playoffs. And you know you got to get the offensive production from Kaprizov and Boldy. But I really like the balance that the Wild are going in with. The fourth line, I would expect he's probably going to go with the two Folignos and McCarron. McCarron might move up when they have Foligno on the fourth line, but unless he goes with the all-Russian line, Yurov, Tarasenko, and Trennan, I think, the fourth line is going to give you great checking ability, great physicality, and I think going to punish the defense a little bit, which they have to do because Dallas has got some big defensemen that can handle the puck. So you got to be laying the body on them, and I think that's going to be what the Foligno brothers and McCarron and Trennan will be doing. But the key guys to me are going to be 3 and 4 in defense.
Yeah.
Obviously the goaltender, but 3 and 4 in defense, and then Hartman to continue to do what he's done so that first line produces, and then the physicality of it, I think, is going to be important.
Do you, if Stramel had not suffered the ankle fracture, do you think that they would have tried to make him a part of the run this year? What do you think?
Who's that?
Charlie Stramel.
Oh, no, I don't think so. No, that's asking a little too much to get a college guy coming in right away. He had a real good year as it is, and he's one of the finalists for the top 10 in Obi Baker. But to expect to bring a centerman in, which is an important position, that hasn't had any experience at the pro level, no, you do that if you know you've got a really productive guy like a Kaprizov, Boldy, Caulfield, somebody that's going to get you a bunch of goals, like we had with Cicerelli. And Cicerelli, we did play him in the minors during the year a lot, but I think that would be expecting too much. You really don't want to be having somebody indoctrinated in the NHL in the playoffs, unless he's got some experience from, say, European international hockey or stuff like that. The level is so high; it's tough to come and expect somebody to produce. And then on top of that, you get the pressure of the playoffs. It's when you make a mistake in the playoffs, it's a lot different than making one during the regular season.
Good point. What is the scouting report on him for the future?
Boy, he's really come on. I'm excited about him now. I didn't know the first couple of years he wasn't very productive in Wisconsin, and all of a sudden it looked like, geez, they're going to have to wash that draft choice. And then he goes and plays for the guy that he played for with the United States development team in Ann Arbor, and he went to Michigan State, and he's really come on. And this year, he's averaging a point a game. He's big, he's strong, he can check. And he's been very productive the last 2 years at Michigan State, and especially this year. And he's really come on. That I think there's two things. One, he's a centerman they're going to be looked at could be really important in his lineup, or two, he could be a bargaining chip if they do go out and make a play for, say, Matthews or Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, that's that. With Bill Guerin, you have to keep that in the mix because we talked about otherwise, do you start running out of assets, right, to pull off the kind of one remaining big deal that we're talking about. This is from 651 guy. With all the deadline pickups, will we see Yurov on a regular shift, and where does he fit in when we're talking about the playoffs?
Well, that's a question that is going to be answered shortly when we get to the playoffs, because it looks to me like it's either going to be him or Bobby Brink in the lineup. And as we were seeing, is he going to go with the Russian line? It's looked good when they play together. Yurf is playing good, and he's had a real good year, and he's a good size and he's physical. So you got that on his side, and Brink's got the capability of being a strong offensive player and being productive. So I expect to see both of them in the playoffs at one time or another. I think you're going to see both of them get nice time during this series against Dallas.
When the team picked up Tarasenko, I think we talked about that at the time, that he was coming off not a very productive year, right? And so the question was, could he reinvent himself a little bit? Could you get more from him, I guess I should say. So and the season's almost over, so you can basically say we can talk about the whole season. His numbers are obviously improved over the year before, where to me it feels like they've gotten some mileage out of him again. Give me your view on what you thought about the acquisition when it was made and how it has worked out this season.
Well, I like the acquisition because I knew he had a history. We go back many times, I say, I always look at the past. Has a guy got a history of scoring? This guy had a history of scoring. So if you look at a history of scoring over a long period of time, and he had like 10 years of good scoring, and then one down year, you're always willing to bet going forward that he can recover it and have another year. If he had 10 down years and he had one good year, and we say, we're getting this guy coming off a 25-goal season or something, okay, but that's one time. I want to see it more than one time. So there was that opportunity that he could produce, and he certainly has done that big time. He got 22 or 23 goals, and here he is still handling the puck and shooting it. You look at the goal against Detroit, the one that he got. Goal scorers are the guys that could make that shot. They make it, they put it right where the only place you could put it, and they get it there quickly. And he's had that talent. It's not only in the NHL. If you go back to his history in Russia, he was a big producer in the KHL as well. Kaprizov had to go and break his record. But that guy has, been productive his whole life, and I'm sure right now the Wild got to be saying, well, we got to keep him around for next year, because he's still at an age where he might not be as quick as he ever was, but he's not slow, but he definitely is capable of scoring, and he's given him an outstanding season.
One of the things that's been kind of front and center through this stretch where the Wild have kind of been a 500 team, I think largely since the coming back from the Olympic break. And Guerin, there have been a couple times where Guerin has come on pretty strong and said, this level of play is not acceptable. And I'm always fascinated with the different styles of general manager when it comes to how frontal you get in that role, where you want to give the coach room to coach, and yet it's still your team. It's still your organization, right? It's still ultimately your rear end. How did you calibrate that about when I'm going to speak publicly, not just privately, maybe to the coach or to the team behind closed doors, but I'm going to be public about it as well? How did you make those determinations about your own approach and style?
Well, first of all, publicly, I very, very rarely ever said derogatory things about I never said them about the coach, and I get very frequently, I can't even think of a time until, I just saw the article you wrote when I let Henning go at that time, and you were pretty tough, but that's okay. You didn't know the whole story, so I let it slide. But I always was of the mindset that these guys might be bad, but I got to sell them. So I'm not going to tell everybody else how bad they are. I know how bad they are. Let them figure out how bad they are. So you never caught me in the paper cutting the team up or the coach up. I just kept that in-house all the time, because I like to be able to have the freedom to move people that I wanted, and having people think that I was really high on them when I wasn't.
Ed in St. Paul, will you ask Louis, with the Devils firing their GM Tom Fitzgerald, if that makes it any more or less likely the Wild can acquire another Hughes brother? Presumably this makes Quinn going to New Jersey less likely. That is Ed in St. Paul. What do you think?
I don't think that it was going to have any effect on it at all. I think that if there's a possibility that Hughes is going to become free agent, that unless the Wild have already made a deal, because I think Hughes got 2 more years before he goes into his signing year, that if the Wild haven't already filled that position, that they'll still be in the market for him. It doesn't matter who's the general manager. It's going to be Jack driving the bus, because he'll say, I'm just going to play it out unless you trade me to Minnesota. So the players still got the power, so I don't see that changing.
You're not concerned about it, or you don't think it's going to matter one way or the other, is what you're saying?
No.
Where are you right now? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Okay.
It's been rainy, so you
poor guy.
You should be very happy. But we're in a drought, 70s? So we need it.
70s, 80s?
Well, it was 78, 60s? But there was rain.
Yeah,
no, we don't get 60s now.
No, I didn't think you did, particularly.
We just had a few days of 83. It was very nice. In fact, when there was, I became Pete Burcich, so to speak. Justin was telling me that they did the same thing to Burcich somewhere in one of these services. I don't know, Facebook or Reddit or whatever they are. They had my demise, that I was fighting cancer, and to pray for me. Well, people can pray for me. I appreciate that.
Man.
You don't have to wait till I get cancer. But I said the demise is
grossly exaggerated.
Early. And I posted a picture of playing golf with my son and 2 grandsons over the weekend. Says, no, I've never felt better, and that's the truth.
Social media is the root of all evil, Louis.
I can't believe why people would do that.
Yeah.
Without having any knowledge of it. I don't know what they gain from it.
That's the age-old question. But I think for some people, there doesn't even have to be an explanation. It's just they for whatever reason, they like messing with people, or they like messing with things, or whatever. It's very, very strange. The sad part is, because we're in this world of sort of conspiracy theory, that there are a lot of people, you know what, that guy's in on it. No one else wants to talk about it, but that guy knows something. That's the scary part, is how readily people tend to believe some of this nonsense,
Well, in this case, it was okay, because I heard from people I hadn't heard from a long time, and telling me they're praying for me to stay strong and all that.
Yeah.
That was nice to hear. I enjoyed that part of it.
Yes. There's at least that. That's the consolation, eh?
Yeah.
That's not bad. We appreciate you. Great stuff as always, my friend, and we inch ever closer to having a chance to talk about the postseason, man. I can't wait.
Well, by this time next week, we'll know whether Wild are resting players are going for it. So at least we got that to look forward to.
For sure. Thanks, Luigi. Have a good dinner.
Thanks. Nice to be with you.
Thank you. Lou Nanne, brought to you by our good friends at Kemp's, joining us this Tuesday evening, as Louis tends to do, mostly on Tuesdays, sometimes later, sometimes earlier as well. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open, 64686, if you'd like to react to our discussion with Louis. If you want to get into the ongoing debate about whether home ice matters at all in hockey, I think we've reached a point of almost borderline absurdity here, where it gets dismissed too readily and too quickly on the basis of some famous series in which it didn't hold up as being all that important. And I will say, till I'm blue in the face as the hockey ambassador, that I want every advantage I can get. None of those advantages guarantee anything. You still have to go out and play, but I want them. I want to have the possibility of potentially of a Game 7 here. By the way, I think Gaardsy brought this up the last time we talked about it. Doesn't hurt the local team financially either to host more playoff games, because that's where teams tend to make their money in the postseason. So I think all that's good. This came in. I meant to get to this with Louis, but I didn't. Here's the text, Gaardsy. You ready? What's up, Hi-Fi? It's Deuce. The Vulcans relocated to Kearney, Nebraska. Or is it Kearney? Kearney. And play as a Tri-City Storm, Lincoln's team, who I work for. The Stars has always been in Lincoln. Hearing USHL talk made my afternoon. We don't talk a lot of USHL here on the Bumper
Not
program.
much.
Is that fair to say?
Not a ton.
Yeah.
Maybe we would have if we knew Deuce was such a great USHSL mind.
Did you know that?
I had no idea.
I can't tell you anything I would have thought less likely than that. But
there's more layers to Deuce than you've ever wanted to admit.
As it turns out. Top of the hour break. More on the breaking news out of Washington as well. Stay tuned. Back in a minute.
Never miss your chance to know the latest news going on in sports, chances to win tickets, knowing what's going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. Follow KFAN 1003 on all our social channels, Instagram, TikTok, X now. Stay connected. Follow the sports leader, KFAN.
Well, it's pretty much the way we talked about earlier that I thought it was going to go. Not a huge surprise here to me at all regarding the rather bellicose, I think that's the word for it, threats from the president earlier. The update is crisis averted, at least for the moment. New York Times writing, the U.S. and Iran reached an 11th hour ceasefire deal this evening, hours after the president threatened to start wiping out, quote, a whole civilization if the Iranians did not allow commercial shipping to pass safely through the Strait of Hormuz. The agreement was announced by the president in a post on social media hours after Pakistan, a mediator in the dispute, urged Mr. Trump to stand down from his 7 p.m. Central Time deadline that he had set for Iran to accede to his demands. Pakistan proposed that each side observe a 2-week ceasefire and that during that time, Iran allow oil, gas, and other vessels to proceed unmolested through the economically vital waterway. The ceasefire buys both sides time to try to reach a longer-term end of the war, which began at the end of Feb. So that's where we are. And we talked about this in a lot of depth with our 402 guest, Michael Hurley, who we tend to talk to about geopolitical issues after his experience in the government, in Washington, and in the field as well. And I firmly believe that the threat would not be acted upon this evening. That I didn't have any of the details. I certainly didn't know it would be a 2-week delay, but I still thought that this was likely the way it was. That something like this was the way it was going to go. That the threats would not be realized, at least not yet. So we'll see where it leads. We'll see. It appears to right now just buy some time. What it means longer term is still kind of an open question. I mean, we've had a number of these deadlines that have been set before. The language not quite as dire as this last time around, but basically several times fairly similar. So to that extent, I think it's a good end. The longer term ramifications of it, it's just simply at this point way too early to tell where indeed this thing might be going. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Much earlier in the broadcast, we talked about, I forgot to get to this with Jonathan from Bloomington with Luigi. It actually came in after we were done with him. But he wants to know why Indianapolis has never hosted a Frozen Four.
It's a great question.
It's a great question. It doesn't even make any sense if you think about it. It's
where Wayne Gretzky started his pro career.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, but
everything's walkable.
We'll find that out somewhere down the road. Everything. Did you know that? Oh, you've probably been told.
Of course,
that
I knew
twice.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I've been there. I've experienced it firsthand, multiple times.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Where else were we here?
Did I mention yesterday how I'm just caught in the Indy algorithm now? And every day...
Yeah, you mentioned it's getting a little crazy.
I'm getting every single person that's saying anything about Indianapolis on my social media feeds now. But I have only myself to blame for that. I can't be mad about that. I have only myself to blame. Because I'm tweeting about it. I'm reacting to it.
Yeah, you don't let up on it.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You almost have to admit that if you complain about it, you have only yourself to blame for the amount of energy people expend to get you in on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now it's just like when you, like now I'm literally in the Elon Musk algorithm where it just starts sending me everything because they know I'll click on it.
Yeah.
So it's my fault. It's my fault.
Yeah, it pretty much is. That's for sure. Dan, not sure if you saw this, but the Stars are wearing their jerseys that look like what they did when the team relocated to Dallas. Is this a conspiracy to needle us Wild fans? My position is not very popular. I don't know what the Stars are or aren't wearing. My position is not very popular on this subject. I think we are our own worst enemies when we wear the Stars colors. I've never understood it. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's like, retro and reminds me of...
Mess Center.
It just doesn't... To me, it's painful because all it does is remind us all that the team left. So I'm a big believer in... I have great respect for history. I think most people know who listen to this show. And I have great respect for the North Stars history. We've talked about it many, many times over the years, but that's North Stars history. The idea that we're going to try to replicate that somehow or bring it all back. You're not bringing anything back, but to me, the painful memories of the fact that the team left. And by the way, won a cup after they got there, right?
And by the way, had a cooler color scheme than the one we have now.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's nostalgia. I love the colors. I have a bunch of the old North Stars colors, wild stuff. I think it's awesome.
Well, I
like it better than what they have now.
I just think it in an odd sort of way, I think you're letting the terrorists win. They're that obsessed that they still got to wear the colors even when we stole your team. Just have your own traditions, have your own, whatever those colors are, whatever you want them to be. I would say just make them. I've never understood it. I don't know if what he's talking about regarding whatever. Is he talking about jerseys that they're going to wear Thursday night?
Maybe.
For the home game?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have absolutely no idea on that. Somebody asked also who holds the tiebreaker between us and them. Do we know? Has Russo written about that? I don't know what I'm sure if Faldness is listening, he would know.
He would, and I'm sure he's listening.
What the tiebreaker would be, because we got Wild hockey coming up very shortly on the Fan, right?
We do.
Not
3 games in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't it like regulation wins? The tiebreakers are different.
They have to be
in the NHL.
You're right. So
it's points percentage, maybe.
I have no idea what it is, and I don't know where we are on it. And I still think a lot of people are way too cavalier about. I don't care about NHL. Nobody cares in the postseason about. In fact, I meant to do this research over the weekend. I didn't get to it. I'm willing to bet that over a period of many, many decades, there is still a significant advantage hosting series. Not as big an advantage as there is, I think, in the NBA, but I bet you there's still an advantage. I bet you it's still not 50-50. So I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get, not even mentioning that we talked about earlier, the revenue thing for the local team, if you want the team to make some dough, and you want to have more home games to go to, one could say. Speaking of home games, the announced attendance for the Twins victory, was it like 16,000 last night?
Yeah,
obviously, once again, there were like 18 people in the building.
Mm-hmm.
But without being too aggressive about this, why would you go to that? Even if you say, well, I go because it's a good ballpark and I'm a ball guy. When it's 36 degrees, why would you go? Why would you want to enable especially under those? I might be able to say, well, I don't want to enable ownership, but God, it's 73 degrees. There's no humidity. It's mid-June. That's an outing for me. I want to get on. But why enable? By all rights, that building should have been empty. Although looking at a couple of the overhead shots, it was pretty close to empty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty empty.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you're thinking.
And they did like a drone flyover.
Yeah, yes, it did.
During the starting lineups, which is a good idea. Do the Monday Night Football bit.
That was clever.
The Twins TV tries different stuff. It's cool.
I agree.
Everybody knows how we feel about Provis, but it was not. They probably should have done a different drone setup. As cool as it looked.
Eric Tebow, Wild lost a Game 7 versus Vegas recently, and home ice definitely played a factor there. Huh.
Tebow.
Is that's right. Voice from the past.
Man, where you been,
that
Tebow?
Something. 651 guy, if I'm not mistaken, Jacques Lemaire loved taking the boys on the road because they didn't have the distraction of home life. Well, we can have that discussion, philosophical argument about that. I want home ice. I'm sorry. And I don't want we can all find the series in which it meant nothing, as it turned out. I'm not saying they don't exist, but it's almost become glandular for people. And maybe it's it's a protective device because it didn't look like we were going to have home ice, and we still want to believe we can do something, which we still can.
Right.
But it's very strange to me. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me as well.
So I'm watching the Wolves right now.
Yes.
We didn't talk about.
Are we already behind?
We're down 5-3. It's 2 minutes in.
Okay.
But we talk about Rudy. Finchie said the other day after the loss to Charlotte, Rudy, I think, had 10 rebounds, but no one else had any.
Yes, he was actually ripping other people for that game, right?
Yes, but I was at the game on Sunday, watching. Oh, good for me. And
are you going to start ripping Rudy now, too?
No, I'm defending Rudy.
Oh, good. Okay, so everybody else is ripping Rudy.
But when you're in the building, they give up offensive rebounds, and Rudy's in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, come on, Rudy.
Yeah, I know.
And what they don't
He's
watch,
the whipping boy.
But what they don't watch is, and we just saw it, our guy Conley, Rudy just had to go help because Conley needed help.
Yeah.
The shot goes
So he's
up.
out of position.
He's out of position. The ball goes off. Julius Randle's just standing there.
Yeah,
And
that's
a
it.
pacer tips it in. Like, Rudy can't get every rebound and help on defense.
Right.
And obviously, you can't expect him to catch the ball ever or make his free throws. But he's doing so much.
He remains
He's got to steal, helping out and drop coverage.
the most maligned great player in the history of the National Basketball Association. It's amazing. And I know his warts. I know how exasperating it can be with his stone hands at times. We get all of that. But the stuff that he does do, like you said, I mean, he can't be 5 places at once. And these guys, there's other players who are either big enough or strong enough to grab. It's not illegal for somebody else to grab the ball. It's just, but he's too easy because of the offensive stuff and because of the contract. But let's face it, there's a lot of other players who are making damn good money as well who should be able to occasionally grab a rebound. Let's get one more break in, remind you of the highlights and lowlights of a very controversial program, and then we will return.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
I want to thank our guest today. Louis joined at his usual 5:30 this evening, and Michael Hurley joined to talk Iran at 4:02. At that point, we did not have the makings of, I wouldn't even call it a deal so much as a holding pattern. Is now in place with plenty of open questions about who is really giving up what. But the good news seems to be that the 8 o'clock Central Time deadline has no longer has any significance as it seemed to throughout the day. Mike joined us between 4 and 4:30 as well. Remember, if you want to go down Nostalgia Lane, maybe you rent Bad News Bears today. We celebrated the fact that the movie opened in theaters 50 years ago today, the Walter Matthau classic, which I think might hold up surprisingly well based on some of the issues that it dealt with, about as politically incorrect a sports movie as one could get, and you could say it might have, to a large extent, influenced and ushered in lots of other motion pictures who seem to turn all the usual sports movie conceits on their head very, very successfully. But I would think that'd be a cheap rental, a movie like that now. That'd
I'm sure
be
you can find it.
$2.99?
Probably.
I don't know how that works. I don't even know what the rules are on I don't even know anybody rents anymore. I don't even know how they do it. Maybe some of the stuff you can get on a particular, if you subscribe to a particular service, maybe you can get it free. I don't know.
Yeah, if you subscribe, depends on who has it. I know Xfinity On Demand, there's a lot of movies we rent for like $2.99,
Right.
$3.99. Or you can buy them straight up for
Yeah,
like
you can do
$20.
that. Yeah, you can do that too as well. Does anybody? I still hold on to a bunch of old DVDs, and I don't know why. I mean, because we're all. I mean, I'm too lazy to actually put one in. So it's like, we'll just click and see what it's. It's
too much.
But I mean, because it almost feels like it's out of fashion at this point, right?
Yes, very much so.
Given everything is just click a couple buttons and then it's right there.
So you don't want our seasons 1 through 9 of Friends. We have all of them.
Do you have them all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I got a lot of them in the Blu-rays, man. And perfect.
You were a Blu-ray fan.
I was a Blu-ray fan.
Yeah,
I love Blu-ray. I was hi-fi. There's no question about that. So the plan tomorrow is Kessler and maybe something else that we'll add to the mix. As usual, we try to stay as fresh and current as we can. Tonight, it's Fan on Demand, and then it's the Minnesota Wild pregame show. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
Leading
They've got the Kraken. If you want to listen to the Wolves, Timberwolves channel.
Right now, how are we holding up?
21-11, we're winning.
We're up 10.
Yeah, 5:45 to go in the first. Ball's popping, not sticky.
Statement?
I think they just want to get on with it.
Statement victory?
Could be.
Yeah. So we could end up clinching not falling to 7.
Right.
If we win tonight and the Suns, who are hosting the red-hot Houston Rockets, if the Suns lose that game to the Rockets, then at least that drama goes away. But we're not moving up. We're not moving up to 3. We're not moving up to 4. And we're not moving up to 5 as well. For the record, the Dallas Stars do have the tiebreaker on us if it ends up coming down to that as well.
Yeah, they have. We need them to lose another game or have an overtime game. Then
it might even up.
Yeah, if we won out.
Gotcha.
There's something with the losses we have.
It's way too complicated in hockey. They have to definitely work on that. So that's the scoop for today, or for the rest of the. So if you're a hockey fan, we got you covered. If you're a basketball fan, you are covered as well via the Timberwolves channel. Enjoy the rest of the evening. As I said, we look forward to a visit with Special K in studio. Pat Kessler tomorrow among our guests. We'll talk to you at 3.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the great time. We love you, Dan.